Hi students, and welcome to today's live IELTS class. My name is Adrian and I'm streaming to you from beautiful Victoria here in Western Canada. I hope everybody is having a great weekend so far. Students, in this class we're looking at IELTS Speaking Part 2, the cue card, the long part. It seems tricky and it is challenging, but there are some great strategies to help you with this part of the speaking test. Today's cue card sample will focus on an object of tradition. Welcome, Fuang. Welcome to our new chat moderator, Romelia, Elizabeth, Constellation. Long time no see. Nice to have you in the class. Welcome, members. Hi, Arkna. Good to see our subscribers. Tsering, Singla, and Savvy. Nice to see. Basanta. Good to have you with me. This is a subscribers chat class, so you have to be at least a subscriber or a member to join the chat, and the lesson is coming from aehelp.com for academic IELTS. Visit us there. For the general IELTS, check us out at gieltshelp.com. These are the websites that power these live classes. Our academic IELTS website looks like this, and all you have to do to join the premium version of our course is click the big red button. That's just above my head. It's a one-time payment. It does not cost a lot of money. We're an IDP affiliate, a British Council partner. We're an IELTS test registration center. We are here to help you pass your exam. When you do that, you can enter the code READ49 coming from our most recent reading video on YouTube. That will get you a 10% discount. The price is different in different countries to make it affordable for students around the world. For general IELTS, it's gieltshelp.com. Again, it's the red button that's kind of tucked in behind my head there. You click it and you are on your way to learning with great materials, videos, interactive courses, apps for your phone, lots more. We will use the website today to interact with students. Premium students, I sent you, so for those people who are premium students, I just sent you the links for the Zoom class tomorrow and on Wednesday. Premium website students have Zoom classes, live classes like this one, through Zoom, video and audio. Those are a lot of fun. You can check out those classes with this playlist. Sub, thank you for asking. I'm definitely on the mend. I'm doing better, just getting over a bad cold, but much better than I was a few days ago. The apps, everybody, are Academic IELTS Help and General IELTS Help in your app stores. Instagram is IELTS_AEHelp and GIELTS Help. I will be posting the schedule for these live IELTS classes for this coming week on Instagram and on our YouTube community. There's also Shopify. And a new feature that we're just starting is Patreon, and this is Patreon here. We've just started it, but I'm going to build that out, so you can check out Patreon as well. It's a new product for us. If you want to send me an email, you have questions, just contact me at adrian@aehelp.com. We are, again, here to help you pass your IELTS exam. Our schedule looks like this. We've got right now Speaking Part 2, the cue card. We'll go through an example and you will have a chance to practice. Then we have Speaking Part 3. That Speaking Part 3 will be not on YouTube, but it will be through our website. So we've got our website here. Our website has this student account, so you can sign up for free. Many of you already have memberships. And then we've got computer-based practice exams and videos. And on the right here, we've got Join Live Class. That button will become active in 2 hours, a little bit less. And then you can join the live class there on the website for Speaking Part 3. Monday, Tuesday, no classes, and then next week, Wednesday, we'll have a Task 1 line graph for premium students on Wednesday. On the 28th, we'll have a speaking class for everybody. Then we'll have writing, listening and more speaking throughout the week. Excuse me. All right. Everybody, let's get into this. So IELTS speaking part 2. Speak and repeat. Copy what I say. Copy how I say it. Again, my English is a West Coast, North American, Canadian form of English. If you ever visit California, Disneyland, the Space Needle in Seattle, Washington, or you go to Vancouver and check out Stanley Park and the Lionsgate Bridge, you will hear people talking English like me. All right. Here is the cue card. So you're in the IELTS speaking, everybody, and you definitely want to go to your speaking test early. You want to make sure that you're practicing and talking to others in English before you meet with the examiner. You meet with the examiner introduces the IELTS speaking test. They say, welcome to the speaking section of the IELTS exam. My name is Adrian. I will be your examiner for this part of the test. And then they ask you a couple of questions about you. Do you work or study? What's your favorite color? What kind of food do you like to eat for breakfast? And after some questions on a general topic, they will say that is the end of part 1. We will now continue with part 2. For this part, I will show you some questions. You will have 1 minute to read these, think about your answers, and then you will have 1 to 2 minutes to speak. You can take notes in the 1 minute preparation time if you wish. I will tell you when to start, when to stop. Talk about an object that reflects your traditions. Okay. Now, they show you the questions. Your 1 minute starts. Make use of that 60 seconds. It feels like a very short amount of time because you need to think of many ideas during that 1 minute, but the brain is an incredibly powerful machine, and it can think of a lot of ideas in 1 minute time, as long as it has good direction, good structure, good guidance. Okay, welcome Juan. Hi Nancy. Lots and lots of people in class today. That's great. It could be a landmark, Juan. You could think about an object that reflects your traditions as a landmark or a building. Yeah, for sure. Like, I live in Canada, right? So if I look at this cue card, I think, okay, I have to talk about the appearance, right? It's a object. Students, when we talk about objects, what do we need to talk about? So here it says, talk about an object or an item. It's one of the 5 kind of main categories for cue card, right? So cue card is maybe a person, a place, an object, an idea, or an event. Kind of a combination. Here we're clearly talking about an object. When we talk about an object, we want to talk about its appearance, so what it looks like. Okay. We describe it. Absolutely, Elizabeth. And what else? Its origin. Yeah, where does it come from? Okay. So where does the object actually come from? Its function. Exactly. So what is it used for? Okay. All right. How you use it, right? So not just what it's used for, but how is it used? Okay. Right? So function, utility. So those two kind of are. Utility would be more like what it's used for. Function is how it's used. Okay. Deborah, where you keep it, maybe that's too specific. That would probably be a part of origin, where you keep it. So where I got it from, where I keep it, that's maybe all of that is the origin. Okay. The importance, Ariadna, would be kind of like the function as well. So why is it important? But yeah, okay. I know we could say that that's part of the experience. Okay, so it could be food, Anahita, but I might not go with food. So here are a couple of questions, right? Some students are asking, can it be a place? Yes. So for example, I'm in Canada, and an object of importance for a place would be maybe something like a hockey arena. Definitely very reflective of Canadian culture and tradition, okay, where people play hockey. If we're talking about food, Anahita, it could be something like pancakes or maple syrup. For Canadians, absolutely. And Anahita, you're in Canada, so you're familiar with these. Deborah says, I think you were better previously. No, Deborah, I'm actually better now, believe it or not. But I appreciate it. I feel better now. Okay, so we got hockey arena, pancakes, maple syrup. Sure. It could be a musical instrument. Yeah, like a sitar for people in India, for instance. Yeah. So there are lots of objects, and the third step, so after you read the question and after you realize that you're talking about an object and you're talking about it in present and present perfect, right, because it reflects traditions in the past, in the present, and in the future. So present perfect grammar. Is everybody with me so far? By the way, how is this sound? Everybody good with the sound so far? I tried to adjust it a bit earlier. It seemed a little quiet. But if my voice is a bit loud, let me know. Okay. So again, everybody, step one. Okay, so it looks like the sound is good. So step one, everyone, is always read the questions carefully. Okay. So let's do that one more time. So this is again speaking part 2. Talk about an object that reflects your traditions. What is the object? When and where did you get it? Where do you keep this object and why? What do you use this object for? What part of your traditions does it reflect? Now, Juan, when you look at these questions, you realize very quickly that talking about a place like a hockey arena might be a little bit tricky, because answering this question of when and where did you get it, it's like, did I really get a hockey arena? So this is where, you know, people say, oh, the questions are just there to guide you. Yeah, but if you talk about a hockey arena, then maybe the examiner might think that you practiced that before the test and you memorized it and you're trying to force it or force the answer. So I would definitely pay attention to the questions and try to answer them and not pick a topic that doesn't work. Okay, so keep that in mind, everybody. If you choose a topic that does not really fit the answers, the examiner could get suspicious that you memorized a few topics and you are trying to force the answer. If they feel this, it will negatively impact your mark. Okay, so you want to be careful about that. All right. So I wouldn't choose a location here, like a hockey arena, for example, Juan, because when and where did you get it? Obviously, you don't get a hockey arena. Most of us don't anyway, unless you're a billionaire or a multi-millionaire. Okay. All right. Yes, Deborah, yes. Same thing with the food, Anahita. So food here, when and where did you get it? I made it in my kitchen. It's a little bit awkward, so I might avoid that. So anyway, step one is read the question carefully. Okay, and that's why we read it carefully, because we want to make sure that we're on the right idea. Step two is identify the category. So whether it's a person, place, object, idea, or event. Okay. And then remember the structure, everybody. So here it's clearly an object. So we talk about its appearance, what it looks like, its origin, its utility, its function, the experience. Okay. And then step 3 is think about a couple ideas. Okay, so think about at least 2 to 3 ideas. This cue card is a perfect example of where you should be thinking of, 2 to 3 ideas. So think about at least 2 to 3 ideas for possible answers. And here, if I think about hockey arena, pancakes, maple syrup, then that's fine, because maybe I can't use it for part 2, but it could become useful for part 3, the class that we will have in about an hour. Okay. All right. So here, I'm Canadian, as I mentioned to many of you. So there are some objects that represent Canadian culture and history, like the hockey arena, pancakes, maple syrup, maple tree. Okay. And then maybe I think, okay, hockey arena I can't talk about, but a hockey stick I could talk about. Okay. Now, another one that represents Canada quite well are snowshoes. Okay. It's actually the picture that I used on the thumbnail for this class. I'm not sure if any of you caught that. But snowshoes could be a good one for this question. Okay. Deborah's asking, could a stool or a kenta cloth be okay? Deborah, I'm not sure what a kenta cloth is, but as long as you explain that to me and it's a part of the traditions in Ghana, absolutely. Okay. So, so far, if you're wondering, like, okay, well, you have 1 minute preparation time, where are we? Reading the question carefully should only take about maybe 10 seconds. Okay, it shouldn't take you more than 10 seconds to read simple questions like this. When and where did you get it? Where do you keep this object and why? What do you use this object for? What part of your traditions does it reflect? Okay, good. Realize it's an object because I have access to the premium version of the course at aehelp.com. I've gone through the interactive course. I looked at the speaking section, and in the speaking section I looked at the part 2 strategies, and I looked at the cards like this one that says part 2, describing an object. So I know that I can talk about its appearance, its history, its application, describing a place. So I know what structure I need from the course. Again, another reason to get it. Plus, I've seen all the videos about this in my speaking video lessons, where you have 124 sample interviews with lots of objects being described, right? Okay. So again, I'm just encouraging you, really am. It's worth the few dollars that it costs to join that premium version. Right there. Okay. So you have all these ideas. So it's you're fast. That's the idea here, is you want to be fast. Okay. So you get through part 2 very quickly. Part 2 should only take you about 3 seconds. Okay. And then, so 13 seconds, you still have, let's say 47 seconds, right? Thinking about 2 to 3 ideas. How long do you think, this is an important question, how long do you think you should take on thinking about 2 to 3 ideas and then choosing the right idea? Okay, this is a good question here. So how long should you take from the 1 minute preparation time to think of a good idea? Good idea. It's a very important question. What do you think? Fuang says 15 seconds. Juan says maybe 20 seconds. Anybody else take a guess? It's a good question. It's a very, very good question. This question is one of the questions for your IELTS speaking. And you'll think about the logic. You'll understand why. Elizabeth says maybe 30 seconds? 15, 20, 30? The magical answer to this question is as long as you need to. If it takes the rest of the 1 minute preparation time, then do it. Doesn't even matter if you don't have notes. Okay, so that's my personal advice to you, is take as long as you need to. Don't even worry about your notes until you have a great idea. If you run out of time, but you have a great idea, you're like, oh yeah, snowshoes, then fine. It's perfect. Okay. The biggest impact on how well you do in part 2 depends on how good your idea is. Okay. Okay. A lot of candidates make this mistake. They have an idea, they realize too late that it was a bad idea, they can't go back, they're confused about trying to think of another idea or trying to switch that idea, and then they're stuck with it. Okay. Elizabeth says, I like to take notes. Yeah, the issue is, students, and I've seen this before, is when people don't have a good idea, they never use their notes. Okay, I've seen it a lot of times in the IELTS. So when a candidate does not have a good or clear idea for their part 2, they seem confused, repetitive, run out of ideas, and they don't seem to use their notes. Anyway, okay, so that's kind of what I've seen. So make sure that you get a good idea. Now, within that, Elizabeth, within that, Juan and Fuang, yes, ideally, so when you're practicing this and you have good visualization and you're doing a good job, ideally you're able to come up with 2 to 3 ideas in about 15 seconds. So I would agree with Fuang. You shouldn't take more than 15. 15 seconds is quite a bit of time. So if you have a clear mind, if you're confident, and it's like 1, 1,000, 2, 1,000, 3, 1,000, 4, 1,000, 5, 1,000, all the way to 15, 1,000. 15 seconds should be enough to come up with 2 to 3 good ideas. Okay, so ideally it should be about 15 seconds. But if you can't, then take more time. Okay, so now in step 4, I take notes. Take good notes. Okay, so when you're taking your notes, talk about the appearance, and I'm just going to abbreviate that as up. Okay, talk about the origin. I'm going to abbreviate that as O, and you can actually do this in your notes. So if you have your note paper in front of you in part 2, this is your note paper, then actually write down A, P, and O, so that you know that, okay, and when you do this, when you actually do step 4, these steps aren't necessarily happening separately. Step 4 can be combined with step 2. So you can do step 2 and the start of step 4 together. Does that make sense, everybody? what I just said there? Okay. For good notes, I mean, don't write down words that you will say anyway. So if I'm talking about snowshoes, then I don't write down the word snowshoes. Okay. Because that's what I'm talking about. So why would I write it down? Right? Like, what's the point in writing down snowshoes if that's my main topic? Obviously, I'm going to talk about snowshoes. And I'm not going to write down something like walking on snow, because obviously I'm going to mention that they're used for walking on snow. It would be really weird for me to need to write that down. Okay? Does that make sense, everybody? So good notes means don't write down words that you will say anyway. Okay? That's just silly. All right? So you write down words about the appearance that help you describe what it looks like. Okay? You write down origin, so words that help you talk about where it comes from. You write down words that will help you describe how it's used. Okay. So use. You write down words that help you to describe its function, so the reason for it. Okay. And then your experience. Okay. All right. Does anybody know what snowshoes are? Snowshoes look like this. If you saw the thumbnail for today's class, you probably saw it. So snowshoes kind of have this look traditionally. Modern day snowshoes look a little bit different if you've ever tried one. Now, some of you might be like, what? I don't even have snow in my country. Okay, but you can imagine, or you might have seen movies with it. Modern day snowshoes look a little bit different. They look more like this. Okay. So, this on the inside here, what is that? Yeah, it's kind of like a, yeah, so BS is like, it's kind of like a tennis racket. That's not a bad way to describe it. Yeah, like kind of like a tennis racket. So like a tennis racket. Sure, that's a good way to describe it. Okay. And what's inside the tennis racket? So let's see, right? It's not just, so when you're thinking, well, I'll never talk about snowshoes. Yeah, but you might talk about a tennis racket and they kind of look very similar. You could use a tennis racket as a snowshoe, come to think of it. So, all right. Salma, very good. It's not a mess, it's a mesh. Yes. Yes, it's a mesh. Okay, so it's a mesh. Good. And also the same as a tennis racket, the outside part, what's that? So you've got the mesh on the inside, right? That's your mesh. And then what do you have on the outside? What's that part? Yeah, Juan's saying it's made of wood. Traditionally it was made of wood. Now it's made of aluminum or fiberglass. Okay. So there's the old version and then there's the new version. So we can say aluminum. It's not outsole, Aditka. It's the same word as for a tennis racket. It's the frame. Right? Yeah, and the mesh these days is some kind of a nylon for sure. Traditionally, it was dried intestines. Ugh. The animals, but yes, nowadays it's made of nylon mesh and aluminum frame. Okay, origin, sorry, I should say MEC. MEC is short for Mountain Equipment Co. A Mountain Equipment Company in Canada. It's a big hiking and outdoor equipment company. So we can say that. We can say it costs $220. Okay. The date is another element of the origin, right? Let's say 5 years ago. Okay. Maybe winter time, right? Something like December, Christmas present. Maybe. Okay. All right. How do you use it? Okay. Attach snow boots. Lift knees. All right. I'm just going to do that. Function. What do you think it's used for, everybody? So, what do you think snowshoes are used for? Ariadna says, not to drown in snow. Yes, Ariadna, to avoid sinking into snow. Or, better put, to stay on top of snow. To walk further, to hike in the winter. Okay. All right. Good. Now, again, I'm not going to write down walk on snow because that's obvious, right? So the experience might be something like explore, exercise, and exciting, all these E's. Right? So explore, exercise, exciting, mountaineering. Okay. All right. So that's about all the time I have for my notes talking about snowshoes. All right. Now I just need to fit these into sentences with some nice joining words. Okay. All right, I hope everybody else is also thinking about some ideas of objects of tradition. For those of you just joining in, this is the question that we're answering. It's part 2 cue card, and we're answering this question. Talk about an object that reflects your traditions. Again, I'm streaming to you live from Canada here on the West Coast. We are out of winter now. In fact, flowers are blooming, but Canada does have many months of winter in many parts of the country. And so I thought of the object snowshoes for this one. Think about objects in your culture, in your country that reflect your traditions. What is this object? When and where did you get it? Where do you keep this object and why? What do you use this object for? What part of your traditions does it reflect? Okay. So I read the questions. I identified the category. I thought of a couple ideas. I identified snowshoes. I wrote down the appearance, the origin, the way to use it, the function of it, the experience. Now I just need one more step here. Step 5. Write down the first sentence. That strongly reflects the cue card topic. Okay. So here, what should be my first sentence, everybody? Single and Savvy's already on it. What should be my first sentence? So this is the last 10 seconds. Ideally, this is the last 10 seconds or 5 seconds of your 1 minute preparation time. Okay. So if I took 10 seconds there, 15 seconds there, 3 seconds there, and 10 seconds there, then that means that my notes should take me about 20 seconds-ish, right? If you're thinking what should take what? All right. Anna, first sentence. Don't talk about what you will talk about. Just talk about it. Okay? That's the trick. Okay? So don't. In good communication, we don't tell people what we will talk about. We just talk about it. So don't say what you will talk about. Just talk about it. Okay? So, for instance, an object in my possession which clearly reflects Canadian culture and a tradition are a pair of snowshoes in my garage. Okay. So notice I didn't say will talk about, and I didn't say something like there are lots of objects in Canada that reflect Canadian heritage, including maple syrup, the hockey arena, and the hockey stick. But the one I will talk about today is a pair of snowshoes in my garage. No, that's weird. It's templated, and it's not very good communication, to be honest with you. In TED Talks, they don't talk like that. So really good presenters don't speak like that. They go directly into what they're talking about. So here, it's an object in my possession which clearly reflects Canadian culture and tradition are a pair of snowshoes in my garage. Okay. Phuong has this answer for us. An object that reflects my country's. Notice how, Phuong, I say reflects Canadian culture and tradition. So it's very clear here, the country. And I've told you that I'm in Canada, so I didn't even really need to do that, but I should. Phuong, always say Vietnam's traditions. Okay, so an object that reflects Vietnamese traditions is the áo dai, which is the iconic dress of Vietnam. Okay. Are, because it's plural, Anahita, are a pair of snowshoes. It's kind of confusing because it's snowshoes. Is a pair of snowshoes? Yeah, maybe. It could be. Examiner won't get hung up on that. It's confusing. Okay, so Akusoa says gold ornaments and kanta serve as a traditional symbol that represents my tradition. What country? What tradition? Akusoa? Where are you? Okay, is it the same as Deborah? Is that Ghana traditions? Okay. Single and Savvy says, I would love to talk about a cherished object that holds deep significance within my Yoruba tradition, and that is the talking drum, which is also called gangan in Yoruba. That sounds pretty exciting. I hope you volunteered today, Single and Savvy. I would love to hear the rest of that. It's an exciting start. That's what it should sound like. Anahita, it could be a kite. If kite is part of your tradition, absolutely. You could, yeah. So Atharva is saying India is big and so diverse. Could we communicate about specific regions? Yeah, absolutely. So, for example, if you have Sikh traditions, I know that Sikh culture has a lot of objects of tradition. The turban, the dagger, the bracelet. So yes, absolutely. MSP, don't even try to predict questions on the exams. You won't be able to. and it doesn't work. And when you think you know what the questions will be and then you get different questions, it's just going to shock you. So don't do that, MSP. Okay, students, it's a very important tip. Do not try to predict questions on the IELTS exam. It's silly, it's childish, and it's counterproductive, because you always get shocked when you realize it's not the question you prepared for. So do not try to predict questions on IELTS exams. This is silly and childish, and often leads to low marks, because candidates do not spend time to focus on a broad range of topics and strategy, and they get shocked when they get questions that are completely different than what they prepared for. Okay, so again, instead, learn the correct strategy. Learn how to talk about objects, places, people, events, and ideas for part 2. Okay. All right. So for me, all I have to do to answer my question or my cue card now is to use my notes, my ideas, and then just put all of these into sentences with nice descriptive words, grammar, vocabulary, connecting words, right? So an object in my possession which clearly reflects Canadian culture and tradition is a pair of snowshoes in my garage. I got these snowshoes from my wife as a Christmas present about 5 years ago. I believe she bought them from Mech, a sporting store, for about $220. Originally, snowshoes were made of wood and intestines and leather, shaped like a teardrop. But these are modern snowshoes. They are more round. They have an aluminum frame. Excuse me. And the mesh is made of nylon instead of animal guts. Snowshoes are a clear representation of Canadian heritage because much of the country is covered in snow from about October to the end of April. And snowshoes have been used as a way to make walking easier during this time for centuries. Okay, Now you're going like, oh, why isn't he talking about his snowshoes? What's going on here? I'm reflecting the topic. By the way, I hope everybody's kind of repeating here. And also I hope that you're thinking about your own object of tradition and think in this way. So everybody, when you're preparing, we're going to talk and you will hear your peers and maybe yourself talking about your object of tradition. Again, we'll use the websites for actually talking, and I will... Yeah, that's right, Anahita. The snowshoe, parts of the snowshoe were made from animal parts back in the day. They used to dry them and make it that way. Okay, so one really important tip, everybody, to get a good score in part 2. An important tip is always keep the topic of the part 2 cue card in your head and reflect on it at least 3 times in your speaking. I would say at the start, let's say middle and end. Okay. Does that make sense, everybody? So give me a thumbs up if you get that, okay? I don't think I've emphasized this enough in some of the past classes about this, but here, notice how I say an object in my possession which clearly reflects Canadian culture and tradition. And then here, I say a clear representation of Canadian heritage because, okay? And you're going to see me do this again at the end. And that's where the examiner, the person who's marking you, is going, okay, this person clearly read this cue card and understood that their goal is to talk about an object that reflects your traditions. Okay, that is definitely a good way to save yourself a half a band or a full band score in the IELTS speaking. Does that make sense, everyone? So do you understand the importance of this? That you should reflect the cue card topic in the beginning, middle, and end. Yes? Okay. All right. So, okay, I've got some thumbs up. That's good. Just making sure everybody's paying attention. All right. So now, what I do, I just keep going through the cue card or through my notes and through the questions, right? So I talked about kind of what it looks like. Okay. I've talked about where I got it. Now I'll talk about how I use it and what I use it for and my experience. So I'll talk about all of these 3 and then I'll check the card. Okay. So during winter time, when I go on adventures with my family, I pack my snowshoes and boots. I use straps to attach the snowshoes to my boots, and then I walk lifting my knees higher than usual to stay on top of the snow rather than sinking in waist deep. Okay. Because in Canada, in the wintertime, you sure can. Ask Ghazi. He's not here today, but Anahita will agree. You can go all the way down to your waist. Okay, so rather than sinking in waist deep, all right, these snowshoes allow me to walk much further and enjoy the great outdoors during and after heavy snowfall. Okay, so now I've talked about how I use them, a little bit about my experience. It is certainly a great way to get exercise and fresh air during the winter months. I'm probably coming up on about 2 minutes or close to, and I want to always just check my notes. So definitely, students, look at your notes and look at the cue card. A lot of candidates don't do that, and you should do that. Okay, so look at the cue card, look at your notes. Yes, the questions are there to guide you, so let them guide you. Okay. What part of your traditions does it reflect? The examiners are listening for answers to these questions. So even though you get this really there's sometimes just some really weird advice and strange advice that might be true, but it's not helpful. So here's this is the right way to say it. Might be true, but it's not helpful. You know what? I'm gonna maybe make a video on this. So might be true, but not helpful. IELTS advice that might be true but is not helpful. Okay, so one of these is people telling you that the questions are just there to guide you. Even I think the British Council or the IDP website says the questions are there as a guide. Yeah, it's true, but it's not helpful to think about them just as a guide. You should be trying to answer them. Okay, so keep that in mind. While it's true that the cue card questions are a guide, and you do not have to answer all of them. Okay. This is bad advice, because when you do answer them, you get a better score. Okay. Does that make sense, everybody? So, what part of your traditions does it reflect? I haven't answered that yet. So, what part of Canadian tradition do you think the snowshoe represents, right? All right, so I want to answer that, right? So, snowshoes my snowshoes are special for me because I do feel a sense of Canadian patriotism when I wear them. They reflect Canadian history, since they were worn by First Nations, Inuit, and pioneers and early pioneers, and depict the hardworking and optimistic attitude of the Canadian people. And that's what I would say. Like, when you see people in the winter, you see Canadians snowshoeing around. It's not easy to snowshoe, but it definitely is easier than sinking into the snow. And you definitely get this feeling of like, wow, you know, like people for centuries have worn these so that they can move around in the winter, they can get food, they can go to their neighbor, hang out, have fun. And it shows this kind of hard work ethic, willing to work together with nature, part of Canadians. All right, here is the cue card, everybody. So again, let's read it. Then we'll look at my answer, and then we will listen to some answers from your peers. Okay? Here we go, everyone. Talk about an object that reflects your traditions. Remember, everybody, to speak and repeat. Okay? Yeah, exactly, Juan. It reflects the cold weather of Canada for sure. What is this object? When and where did you get it? Where do you keep this object and why? What do you use this object for? What part of your traditions does it reflect? Your 1 minute preparation time is up. Please begin speaking. An object in my possession which clearly reflects Canadian culture and tradition is a pair of snowshoes in my garage. I got these snowshoes from my wife as a Christmas present about 5 years ago. I believe she bought them from Mech, a sporting store, for about $220. Originally, snowshoes were made of wooden intestine and leather, shaped like a teardrop, but these are modern snowshoes. They are rounder, they have an aluminum frame, and the mesh is made of nylon instead of animal guts. Snowshoes are a clear representation of Canadian heritage because much of the country is covered in snow from about October to the end of April, and snowshoes have been used as a way to make walking easier during this time for centuries. In winter, when I go on adventures with my family, I pack my snowshoes in boots. I use straps to attach them to my boots, and I walk lifting my knees higher than usual to stay on top of the snow rather than sinking in waist deep. These snowshoes allow me to walk further and enjoy the great outdoors during and after heavy snowfall. It's certainly a great way to get exercise and fresh air in the winter months. My snowshoes are special for me because I feel a sense of Canadian patriotism when I wear them. They reflect Canadian history, since they were worn by First Nations, Inuit, early pioneers, and depict the hardworking and optimistic attitude of the Canadian people. Okay, your 2 minute time is up. Now we'll continue to part 3. And that was, if you're wondering how long that took me, I just timed it. It was 97 seconds, I believe. So, okay. And so if the examiner's still looking at me, then I would probably say something like, I keep them in my garage because they can stay dry there. And if they have mud on them or they're dirty, then I do not bring that into the house, right? So I can continue to expand my answers. But that was about 97 seconds. Okay. All right, students. And notice how many times I reflected the topic. Okay. The topic was... talk about an object that reflects your traditions. Okay. Yeah, Deborah, try to volunteer for sure. Okay. All right, so notice that I say reflects Canadian culture and tradition. That's 1. Clear representation of Canadian heritage. That's 2. Okay. And then here, feel a sense of Canadian patriotism, reflect Canadian history. Those are all reflecting the topic of the question. All right, everybody, let's give you a chance to do this. So hopefully you've had lots of time to come up with a few ideas, and you took some notes, and you took some notes on the appearance and the origin of the object, the use, how you use this object, the function, when and where you use it, and your experience with the object. Hopefully you thought about all that, and now you're ready to volunteer. This is how you volunteer. You can do this for free. You need to go to the website, aehelp.com. I'm putting it into the chat as well, by the way. Log into your My Student account. Okay. And then enable your microphone. And we'll get going. Okay, so here we go. Let's hop over to the website. This is aehelp.com. Again, the link is in the chat. If you want to, if you're like, hey, this guy's good, I can learn IELTS from him, I'll use the premium course and really get the maximum benefit with all the practice exams, etc. Then join with this red button. If you're like, yeah, I'm just going to try it first, or my wallet's empty, go to your My Student account. Click on the Student Partner Speaking, this button right here. Again, everybody, in 1 hour, I will have another Speaking Part 3 class that will connect to this topic, and it will be here, the Join Live class, okay? All right. So we click on this. And then you are in here with Nitesh and Juan and Ivan and Mingma. Nice to have you in there, Mingma. Okay. And then you can volunteer. Juan, we haven't heard from you in a while. Let's check in. Juan, are you ready? All right. So, Deborah, I see you in there as well. I will definitely reach out. Juan, here we go. Juan, are you there? I don't hear you yet. Might be an internet connection issue. We'll check into that in just a moment. Yeah, sometimes it can be a bit funny that way. Just give me a moment, Juan. Okay. Let me check in with somebody else, Juan, and if it's not working for others either, then maybe I'll just do a quick restart. But let me just see if I can reach out to maybe Deborah here. Deborah, are you ready? And if it works with Deborah, it means that it's likely a connection issue on your end. Juan, if it doesn't work with Deborah, it could be a connection issue in general, but we'll soon find out. Again, students, when you're using the website, you want to keep this page open, and every now and then again, refresh it, right? When you have web pages open for a long time, sometimes they time out. So okay. Deborah, I don't hear you either. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to reboot the chat server. Just give me a second. And then I will try you again. Okay. Hi, Deborah. Are you there? Can you hear me? Are we making a connection here? I'm not sure. I'll keep trying. Let me try Ivan, see if I can get a connection with him. Ivan, are you ready? Again, everybody, we are using YouTube and the website together, so you got to be a little bit patient, but it should work. Hopefully. Usually does. Ivan? No voice from Ivan either. Okay, let me try this one more time. Let me just try to reboot here one more time. And then can you, everybody just, I'll let you know when, but give me a second. It could be from my side, Deborah. I don't think it should be. It should work. Let me do it this way. I'll close my page here. I'll reboot it. It could be, Deborah. Could be. Just give me a second. I've got a lot going on. You can imagine how many different pieces of software I've got moving to stream this live class. I've got everything from OBS to YouTube to websites to Microsoft Word, microphones, cameras, all sorts of fun software going on. All right, let me just do this one more time. So student partner speaking, here we go. Let me log on one more time and let me try this one more time. So let's jump back to Juan. Juan, one more time. Let's circle back to the beginning. Anahita, that's right. Volunteers usually should refresh their page too if I'm rebooting. All right. There we go.
Can you hear me?
I can, yeah. As soon as you breathe, I can hear you. It's like, hi, I'm hearing Juan breathe. It's a good sign. All right, Juan. Yeah. Yes, internet and connectivity. It is still not a perfect mechanism, but it works. It's all good. All right, Juan, let's do this. So, object of tradition, part 2 key card. Are you ready?
I think I am.
Yep, you can. There's an expression that you can use here, Juan. It's I'm as ready as I'll ever be.
I'm as ready as I ever be.
Mm-hmm. All right, then let's do it. So that is the end of part 1. We will now continue with part 2. For this part, I will show you some questions. You will have 1 minute to prepare your answers. Talk about an object that reflects your traditions. Your 1 minute preparation time is up. Please begin speaking.
An item that reflects my traditions is actually a piece of clothing. It is a poncho, which I got from my dad approximately 10 years ago. The size of this poncho when I extend it is about a single bed size because it's kind of rectangular. It's made of wool and cotton, probably 50-50. And to me, I consider it an inheritance, kind of like a token appreciation. And to me, it has a lot of sentimental value. I use this as a coat, or probably instead of a coat in the winter for special occasions. It also has designs like native figures because my dad bought it in a traditional store like 20 years ago. I keep it in the drawer because I still use it. Probably I should keep it in a better place, but I don't know. I like to keep it close, and sometimes I just try it out inside in my house. It reflects the traditions of native people here in my province, because actually here in Argentina every province has their own design of ponchos. So yeah, it reflects not only Argentinian culture, but also it reflects the specific region where I'm from and where my family comes from, because we are a mix. Actually, all Argentina are a mix of native people, indigenous, and also people from Europe because of immigration, and also Asia, I think. So yeah, to me it reflects and represents all that.
Okay, your 2 minutes time is up, and I'll stop you there, and we'll go on to part 3. Juan, that was really good. That would be, I would say, at least about a band 8. Okay, band 8. So overall, very good structure and detail. Okay, so I was hoping you would say Argentina eventually. I'm like, Juan, I know you're from Argentina, but a lot of people don't. And there, when you say poncho could be Peru, could be Mexico, because ponchos are popular. Even in Canada, we have, believe it or not, people like ponchos. So Canadians like their ponchos. So ponchos stretch all the way from North America to South America, all the way from Canada, northern Canada, all the way down to southern Argentina. People wear ponchos. So ponchos are popular for sure. So you need to be, absolutely. You started to think about that, and I think you realized that. You're like, wait a second, a lot of people wear ponchos. I want to talk about. So how can you improve it? In a couple places, a little bit better vocabulary describing the poncho, and I mean a little bit, right? Because Band 8 is
Yeah.
already very good vocabulary. For Band 9, we're looking for some really precise vocabulary for the topic. Like when you talk about a poncho and the design, then you're talking about unique motifs. Do you know the word
Oh,
motif?
I think I got a good idea. Probably like drawings
Yeah,
or kind
so
of.
yeah, unique motif means like the unique pattern or the unique design
Mm, patterns. Yeah.
that we see on the poncho. And you started to hint at that. I wish you had told me more. So you said that my province, excuse me, has its own kind of motif or its own style. What is
Hmm.
it? So what's unique? What's the name of your province and what's unique about the style? Can you say a little bit
Oh, yeah.
about that? I'm going to be, yeah.
Yeah, my province is, well, in English,
Mm-hmm.
Black River. And also, well, the motifs
Mm-hmm.
uh, are kind of like squares. Sometimes they imitate uh, the shape or the drawing or llamas.
Okay, so I live in the Black River province of Argentina, and the ponchos
Mm.
here have black squares with images of llamas on it.
Mhm.
Okay, so let's try this sentence. I live in the Black River province of Argentina, and the ponchos here have black squares with images of llamas on it.
I live in the Black River province of Argentina, and the ponchos here have black squares with images of llamas on it.
Yeah. Now I've got a really cool idea, very specific concept of the
Mhm.
ponchos that are local to your region. And you had some really nice language though. So I'm always picking at or criticizing what could be better, but I do want to emphasize what is good. And Juan, you did a really good job, for instance, of saying that it's made of wool and cotton, probably 50-50. I love that. So I can almost feel it on my skin because I know the feeling of 50% cotton, 50% wool. So that was really good. You
Mhm.
said it's about the size of a single bed because it's rectangular. I thought that was a really clever simile. Okay. So that was a very clever way to describe what the poncho actually looks like physically. So I thought that was great. Okay. So you had a lot of really good aspects there. Okay, that was excellent. Definitely, students, pay attention to mentioning. So clarity is important. Coherence and clarity is always very important throughout the speaking section. So traditional object for you, right? Immediately try to mention that, well, I live in the Black River province of Argentina, which is kind of in southern Argentina, and
Mhm.
ponchos are popular throughout the country, and each province has its own kind of style. And I have a poncho that my father gave me, which represents not only Argentinian culture, but also more specifically my local culture. And you did use that not only, but also do it early. Juan, do it early.
Mhm.
So it really as the examiner, I'm like, oh, really good, really interesting, right? That's in my internal dialogue. We talked about that the other day. Does that make sense, Juan?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
Band 8, because you did a very good job, to make it an expert job, you want to be a little bit more empathetic to your listener with a little bit more detail and vocabulary. Okay?
Okay.
All right, but overall, Juan, that was really good. And I'd love to, if you ever get the chance, send me an email with a picture of the poncho. I'd love to see what it actually looks like.
Thank you. Yes. Yes, I will.
Okay, thanks, Juan.
You're welcome. Thanks to
Okay,
you.
bye, Juan. All right, let's give Juan a thumbs up. That was really good. Ponchos, yes, a comfortable piece of clothing for sure, worn throughout North, Central, and Southern America. All right, very familiar for most people here in North America. All right, Deborah, let's give you a second shot here. Yes, are you ready? All systems are on the go now. Let's do this. Okay, Deborah. Deborah, I still don't hear you, but this time it seems like my system's working, so I think that it might be on your end. You might need to just refresh the page. Keep trying. I'll give you another shot here in just a moment. Let me see if I can circle back to Ivan, and then hopefully it works with Ivan, and then hopefully it's not the system timing out. Are you ready? And then we'll just we'll get a hold of each other. No worries. Constellation, I see you there. It's good. We've got some time. Could be my session timing out at the server. All right. Ivan, I'm going to hang up. I'm going to try a Constellation here. And then if I can't get a Constellation on the line either, then I'll do a refresh, okay? Constellation, are you ready? I just want to make sure that I'm not unnecessarily refreshing my page. Okay, Constellation.
Hello.
Hi, Constellation.
That's great. How are you?
I'm on the mend, as you hear me kind of coughing, and I had to put some cough spray in my mouth so I don't keep coughing. But I'm doing okay, Constellation. My spirit is strong, and it's good to hear from you.
You will get better soon.
Thank you. I'm on the mend. All right. I haven't heard from you in a while, Constellation. Have you been busy with your studies?
Yeah, I was working a full-time job then.
Ah, what were you doing?
Yeah, I told you once. I was working as a salesperson.
I forget things, Constellation. I have
It's
terrible.
fine.
I'm like a goldfish. I hear it and then I forget it. All right, Constellation, are you ready to tackle this part 2 cue card?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Okay, let's do it. So, talk about an object that reflects your traditions. Your 1 minute preparation time is up. Please begin speaking.
Okay. An object that I have that can reflect Vietnamese culture very well is none other than the outside. And I got this piece of garment when I was 16 years old. My mom ordered it from a famous local designer, and it is really beautiful made. It has some two shirts, green color, and most of the garment made of silk, and actually it is a long sleeve trouser, and we mix it with a long pants, which is also made of silk. I often wear it on special occasions such as wedding or the Tet holidays, which is the most essential holiday in my country. So because of this really precious item, I keep it in a safe place, which is my wardrobe, and I'm sure that it is in mint condition by not let the moisture or water get into my wardrobe. And although I always wash it using my hands gently, this item is one of the most or iconic item that can reflect Vietnamese culture because it was invented like 1,000 years ago, and it is my national clothes. It can reflect the Vietnamese women beauty, and I can say that outside embraces the feminine and also the femininity and also the resilience of Vietnamese women. Yeah, I think that
Okay,
that's
your
it.
time is up. I will stop you there. All right. Yeah, that was about 2 minutes, maybe a little bit more. They will stop you at 2 minutes. I was just trying to catch up with your fluency. You're very fluent. You can speak a little bit slower, Constellation, and if you speak a little bit slower, so you're very fluent. There's no question about your fluency. You've got great pronunciation, great fluency for sure. So your fluency, your pronunciation will get band 8.5 scores on the IELTS any day. So what you want to pay more attention to get those high scores is just to be accurate with your grammar and to be coherent. You've got very good vocabulary as well, as I've often said. And keep practicing. Don't lose what you have. You've worked so hard to get it. So did you use English in your sales job?
Sometimes when I have to work with the supplier in the foreign countries.
Good. I'm glad. You should always be looking for jobs where you can use your English because you have good English. It's valuable. I'm sure employers will value it. And when you're building your own business, then of course use it as well. It's great. Words like wardrobe, for example, are really nice. It's nice vocabulary to hear in this context. Using the word garment instead of just saying clothing, garment is a nice word because a piece of clothing like a long-sleeved silk kind of shirt is more of a garment than just a piece of clothing. So a garment is more elegant usually, and that definitely fits in this case. So you said trouser, which was a really nice piece of vocabulary as well. You said it was invented 1,000 years ago. It was good. So a lot of this content was really good. There were a couple of pieces that were missing. So when you're good in English, or you're very good in English, like Juan and Constellation here, then what you're always going for is improving your communication skills. So not just your use of English vocabulary and grammar, but really focusing on communication. And a big part of that, Constellation, is empathetic speaking. So thinking about your listener.
Oh, yeah.
I kind of visualized, I've seen this piece of clothing in movies and in stores, and I kind of have an idea of what it looks like, but it's not perfectly clear for me. There were a couple of key pieces that I felt were missing, and I was kind of like, well, I kind of wish she had talked about that. I'd love to have a bit more clarity. Remember the word that I used with Juan about those black squares in the llamas? What's the word? It starts with an M.
Motif?
Yeah, the motif. So your garment here, what's the name of it again? I couldn't catch the name very clearly.
Outside.
Alzai?
Yes.
I thought it was something like that. I put Azrath, but Alzai. Okay. I thought it was something like that, Alzai. Okay. What does it look like? Like, what's the color of your Alzai? What does it have pictures of? Flowers, animals, birds? So what? I think they usually have some kind of a motif.
Yeah.
So what is it? You didn't really describe what it looks like.
Yeah, I forgot. Actually, I could add that it has the lotus embroidered into it, like the pink lotus.
Okay, what color is it?
The color of the outside?
Yeah, yours.
Can be.
Mm-hmm.
It can be in all colors, and the most common is white.
Okay, so but what color is yours?
Okay, mine is green, some tuches green, you know.
Okay, now we're getting somewhere. So, okay, the examiner's not going to ask the candidate, but this is what should be happening are these questions. Okay, so it comes in lots of colors. The most common is white, but mine is it like an emerald green or a dark green? You said a lotucious green?
Some tuches.
Some tucious?
Yes.
I don't know that word, but maybe it's a word I don't know. Some tucious green, with embroidered, and it has embroidered lotus flowers.
Yes. You know, like some tuches, very expensive. You know that word.
Subtucious.
Subtucious, yes.
I have heard the word. I don't use it, so I'm not that familiar with it. I don't know every word. Constellation. English has almost 2 million words. Nobody knows every word. All right. But this is the kind of description that we want to hear as your listener, and not just the examiner, but when people hear you talking about it, they want to hear this. So it comes in lots of colors. The most common is white, but mine is a subtutious green with lotus flowers embroidered on it. That's really good language. That's going to get you much closer to a band 9. Can you repeat that sentence?
It comes in lots of colors. The most common is white, but mine is a subtutious green with lotus flower embroidered on it.
Okay, that was really good. Juan, suddenly now Juan in the chat is like, oh, I should have said what color my poncho is. It's gray. Now we know the color of your poncho, Juan. Yes, colors are important for humans. Okay, so really good job, Constellation. It was lovely to hear your voice again. Just, again, make sure, lots of details. Think about your examiner, okay? Visual communication, okay?
Yeah, okay. I will do that next time. I mean, actually, I didn't prepare anything. I just, it's a split run answer.
Yeah, and that's totally fine. Like sometimes students don't have time to prepare notes for part 2. So a really important strategy when you're communicating with a person, especially about an object or a place, is to visually see it in your head and then transfer that vision in your head to your listener. So see yourself wearing this garment in a mirror and let me see you in the garment in the mirror. Do you get what I'm saying? Yeah?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much, Constellation.
Yeah, thanks so much, Adrian.
Okay.
I'd love to talk with you again soon.
For sure. Bye, Constellation.
Bye-bye, sir.
All right, that was Constellation. It was really good. I'm going to circle back to Deborah. We're almost out of time, but Deborah, I want to give you another chance. Yes, let's try to connect. I mean, you heard me connecting with Constellation, so it does work. Are you ready? Let's give Deborah another chance, see what's happening here. Deborah, worst case scenario, we've got our live class coming up in 30 minutes on the website too, right? So if it doesn't work here, maybe the website, it's a different system. Thanks for the thumbs up, Ariadna, for Constellation, and Michael, thank you. Yeah, that was really good. Okay, Deborah, let's give this one more shot. Deborah, I don't hear you. Okay, Deborah, Ivan, what we're going to do is when we start the class here on the website, let me just drop this down so everybody can see that a little bit better. So when we start the class, please join in 30 minutes on the website, and we'll restart all these systems. We'll get a fresh start on it. Hopefully it will let you connect. Close the pages, open them back up again, and then I'll start with you, Ivan and Deborah, and then we'll get into part 2 and then part 3 questions. So we'll focus most of our time on student interactions. Okay, so a little bit less instructions from me and a little bit more opportunities for everybody to speak on the website. But that's, again, coming up in 30 minutes. So if you click that button right now, everybody, not much is going to happen. It's just going to say live class streaming videos coming soon to my student page. Please check back later. So that's all it will say. But in 30 minutes, it will say live class, join now, and you'll be able to join it. Okay. All right, everybody. So the website that we just used and will be using is aehelp.com. Click the big red button to join the premium version, or gieltshelp.com for general IELTS. The topic right now was part 2, and the topic coming up in 30 minutes on the website is part 3. Premium students, you should have received your Zoom links for class on Sunday and Wednesday. If you do not see it, let me know so I can send it to you, or check your spam and trash folders, make sure it didn't end up there. Elizabeth, you're super welcome. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Thank you, Juan and Constellation, for volunteering. I look forward to seeing all of you in the next live class on the website in half an hour. I'm Adrian. Signing out for now. Much love to everyone and see you soon. Bye.